Okay, so we're on practice test 1, problem number 9, and here we go. Find the PRRs. Well, this one's super simple. What are the PRRs? 1 and -1. So we don't have a whole lot of choices here. So I'll just do 1, I guess. Oh, hey, that worked. 1 worked. Right? Yep. Now, this one doesn't say find the factors. So this is a little bit different. This says find the roots. In other words, find where the dots would be on the number line. So one of my roots is 1. Right? If I were going to graph this, which I don't have to this time, but if I were going to, I'd have a dot of 1. All right, now what's left here?
Or x squared plus 3x plus 1.
Ay, 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 ay. For the first time ever in the last couple weeks anyway. What about that?
It won't factor.
It won't factor. What do I do if I have an x squared equation that I am supposed to solve?
No, please don't tell me quadratic.
I need to use my quadratic formula. Yep, my job is to find the roots. I'm not graphing it, I'm not factoring it, I'm finding the roots of it. So I want to know what x equals. Well, I already know x equals 1, but now x is going to equal negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. A is 1, b is 3, c is 1. The quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Don't you dare say, oh, Mrs. Ford, you're going too fast. You need to know the quadratic formula. And if you don't, Google it, put it on a note card, put it under your pillow, and recite it 50 times before you go to sleep. You've got to know the quadratic formula. So, what do we got? X equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 5. So what goes in the answer blank? Remember, it said find the roots, find the answers. So one of them was 1, and the other 2 are right here. Those are the answers. That's it. You're done with that problem. Luckily, you don't have to graph it or do anything like that. You just have to solve it. It was a cubic equation. You were solving that guy. So we guessed the first number, and then we used the quadratic formula on what was left. And we're on the last page. Here we go. Number 10, write the equation. All right, so you look at this thing. Mrs. Ford did not label her points very bad. Sorry about that. But you can tell, I hope, what they are. First thing we do is 3 parentheses. Why are there 3 parentheses?
There's 3 dots.
Because there's 3 dots on the x-axis. So what's in the parentheses? X plus 4, x plus 1, x minus 3. Everybody agree? Now, before you go one step farther, pay attention to the graph. Are there any bounces anywhere? It looks like there's a bounce on this factor and on this factor. Look at the picture. See how it bounces off? It doesn't go through. It bounces off, makes a parabola. If it's making a parabola, it needs a square. Now, some of you are going to stop here and go on to the next problem, and you're not going to get full credit. Did you notice there's that random point, 2, 10 in there? What is that for? Why did I put that point in there? Because there is a coefficient potentially out in front of the problem. And right now I don't know what that is.
You put the point in
So if I plug in 10 for y and 2 for x, I can figure out what that leading coefficient is. Now, you should remember to do that, kids, because that 2 comma 10 is just there. You got to think to yourself, well, why is that point there? That point is there to help you find that leading coefficient. So 10 equals n times 6. What's this? 9. And negative 1? Or well, positive 1, I'm sorry, positive 1, I squared it. So 10 equals 54n. So n equals 10 over 54, which is 5 over 27.
We have to leave it as a fraction.
Yep, want to leave it as fraction. Come up here. Put 5 over 27 right here. And that is what goes in the answer blank. Magnus, you okay with that? So makes you all excited, I can tell. All right, number 11, synthetically divide. Well, we've done so much of this, you're really good at it, I'm sure. I did change up the way I had you write your answer a little bit, though, so let's go through this and make sure we write our answer correctly. Oh, be careful. What do I have to watch out for on this one?
Remainder.
Yeah, but what else? There's a 0 in there. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Make sure you catch that, because it's going to throw everything off. Do you think it would ever be possible to have 2 zeros? Well, yeah, 2 things were missing, right? Every power has to be there. So we're missing an x cubed, so we'll put a 0 in there. All right, here we go. Now, I don't know if I made any mistakes or not. Did I make any mistakes? Okay. So what's the quotient? Well, the quotient is all of this. So for this problem, that would be x to the third minus x squared minus 2x plus 10. That's the quotient. So that goes in the quotient blank. And then in the remainder blank, you can either just write negative 12, or you can write negative 12 over x plus 1, whichever you like to do. But I've separated off the remainder, so you can just put negative 12. Is it possible the remainder could be 0? Yeah, sometimes the remainder is 0. In fact, those are the ones we like when the remainder is 0. All right, 2 more problems on this test. Here we go. If x plus 2 is one factor, find the other factors. So what do I do? Divide. So in the box goes negative 2, 1, negative 6, negative 25, negative 18. Basically, gang, isn't this just like one of those guessing problems, except they're saving you the trouble of guessing? They're telling you, okay, use this number. And of course, you better get 0, which you do. So where do, Jalen?
Can't you just done factor by grouping?
You absolutely could, if the problem factors by grouping. What do we have left here?
Minus 9 plus 1.
Well, we have x squared minus 8x minus 9, which is x minus 9 plus 1. By the way, this problem doesn't factor by grouping, Jalen. If it does factor by grouping, you would, but this one doesn't factor by grouping. So, the question was, find the other factors. Right here they are, right? I think I'm remarkably composed. I'm very proud of myself. All right, last problem. This is a little bit different. If you did the homework, you know they're in there. But if you haven't looked at the homework, this you're thinking, what is this? This looks kind of familiar, but we haven't talked about this for a very long time. Well, first of all, let's read the question. The height of a ball, or the height of a ball above the ground is given by this equation. So this is the equation that tells me how high the ball is at time t. And remember, this is the initial velocity. Remember when we did these before? And that's the initial height. Find when the ball reaches its maximum height. Now, this is the part that you should be able to figure out. What shape is this equation? If I were to draw a picture of that equation, what shape would it be? A parabola, and because of the negative, it would be opening down. So the picture, and you don't have to graph it, I don't want you to graph it, but the picture would look like this. Now the question asks for the maximum. Well, wait a minute, what would the maximum be? The vertex? Do we know how to find the vertex of a parabola? Yeah, you can either complete the square and all that, which I would not do on this problem, or you can simply use your little formula. What's your little formula? X equals, in this case it would be t equals, but x equals negative b over 2a. So t is 1. And then to find the y part, we just plug in 1. So we have negative 16. We're just plugging in 1. So I got negative or positive 12. Now that's the vertex. The question says, find when the ball reaches its maximum height. What do these two numbers represent? The 1 was the t value. So this is 1 second. The 12 is the height value. So that's 12 feet. So for this particular question, find when the ball reaches its maximum height. The answer would be 1 second. Anytime a quadratic is talking about a maximum or minimum, we're looking for the vertex. And anytime you're looking for the vertex, you can use your little formula, x equals negative b over 2a. Right? You are going to have your calculator, but you're not going to be graphing on your calculator. You have your calculator to help you with arithmetic, but that's all. All right, so now we're on to test 2. Here we go. Oh, and look what question is right off the bat on practice test 2. Same question. Here we go. The height of a ball above the ground is given this time by this equation. Find the maximum height of the ball. So this time, aren't we looking for the y coordinate? But we're going to do everything exactly the same. Maddie? Ready? Okay. So we're going to find the vertex of this. This is a parabola, x squared, t squared. We're going to find the vertex. So what's our little formula for the vertex, Maddie?
You put 64 over 64.
Well, it wouldn't be 64 over 64. What's the formula? X equals negative b over 2a. So for this problem, it's negative 64 over negative 32, which is 2. So the vertex of my parabola is at 2 comma something. What does that 2 mean? Takes it 2 seconds to get to the top. I want to know what the top is. So I'll take that 2 and do what with it? Plug it in. So negative 16 times 2 squared, 64 times 2. This is what you have a calculator to help you with. Negative 64 plus 128 plus 6 is what?
I think 70.
Is that 70? So this time, what are we going to put in the answer blank? Find the maximum height of the ball. We're going to say 70 feet. On the test, I can see myself asking a 2-part question. When does the ball reach its highest point? You would say 2 seconds. What is the highest point? You would say 70 feet.
Is it always, how do you know it's always in seconds? Or will it say otherwise?
What?
Is it always in seconds or
Yeah.
will it always say otherwise?
Yeah. Yeah. If it's not seconds, it will tell you. That negative 16 is an important number in physics, and it's feet per second. All right, number 2. If x minus 3 is a factor of this polynomial, find the other factors. Bo, how do we do this?
So x minus 3 is given.
Uh-huh. Well, grouping would be fine if grouping worked, but it doesn't.
So negative 3 is given, so synthetic division.
Let's use synthetic division. Did your friends help you out there? Okay. It's all right. That's what friends are for, but we just want to make sure we can do it on our own because it's not a group test. All right, so here we go. We're going to do synthetic division. What do we know is going to happen right here?
0.
We know we're going to get a 0. They tell us that. So if we don't, something is wrong. And sure enough, we did. So, Monica, what's left?
1, 4, negative 5.
Which it represents what?
The factors.
Which is x.
X squared plus 4x minus 5.
There we go. Which then I can factor.
X plus 5x.
Thank you. X plus 5, x minus 1. Now, wait a minute. What does the question say? Find the other factors. Right there they are.
And then the other one's x minus 3.
That one's given, yeah, but the directions say find the others. But if you included x minus 3, it wouldn't be wrong. But it's really asking you for the other ones. But there are all 3 of them, yeah. If we were going to sketch this.
So we don't have to put like x equals negative 5.
We don't want that. We want the factors. So the factors are the parentheses. When it says find the roots, then that's x equals. But the factors are the actual parentheses. All right, now we're going to do a synthetic division. Just talked about it a second ago. We got to be careful about zeros sneaking in there. So it looks like we've got, oh, wait a minute, we got more than one. We got 4, 0, negative 3, 0, 9, 2. Does that seem about right? All right, I have no idea if I messed that up or not. That's good. And this just says use synthetic division, but I know on the test I've asked you for the quotient and the remainder, so let's go ahead and write that down. The quotient would be what? 4,
X to the
x to the fourth plus 4x to the third plus x squared plus x plus 10.
Plus 8 over x.
plus X over remainder.
Well, and then the remainder I got on a separate line, and the remainder is either 12 or 12 over x minus 1, whichever way you're comfortable writing it. That would be the remainder. Marita, maybe someday your picture will be on the wall. All right, what do we do next? Write the equation. Okay, Stephanie, tell me, what do I do to start here? I'm writing the equation.
So you do x plus 2, x minus 3, and x minus 5.
So she says there's going to be 3 parentheses, and they're going to be x plus 2, x minus 3, and x minus 5. Is she right?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, Evan, what do I need to look at now?
See which one's bounce off.
Exactly. This is really critical, guys. You've got to know which one's bounce. So, Evan, which one's bounce?
-2 and 0.
So this one right here, this factor is going to have a squared on it.
X minus 5.
And this one's going to have a squared on it. All right. Ava, am I done?
No.
No. What do I have to do, Ava?
Put in an equation.
What in the equation? Oh my goodness gracious. You guys need to pay attention.
No, I didn't see it. You put in the 1, 6.
Yeah. I find this riveting. I can't understand why you guys are like you're thinking about other things. This is so fascinating. We got this point, 1,6. What are we going to do with it? We're going to plug it in. And why are we plugging it in? To figure out what the leading coefficient is. So in goes 6 for y and 1 for x. All right, so what do we got here? 9.
-2, 16.
Everybody okay with that? So it looks like 6 equals, this is why we have a calculator, what is that? 288. And that should reduce to 1 over 48.
How do you know that?
I actually reduced it up here.
She was a math, wasn't it?
But how do you know it goes down to 1 to 48?
Because I knew I have a 2 and a 3 here. So 3 times 16 is all I have left. So I knew that was going to be 48. All right, so anyhow, what goes in the answer blank? You're going to have a calculator to help you with the arithmetic, so you don't need to fret. That's the answer.
Could you put a decimal there?
No. All right. Magnus, put your head up before I lose my composure. All right, number 5. List the possible rational roots and find the roots. So this time, our answer is going to be x equals. All right, so what are the PRRs for this problem? 4, 2, and 1 over 1, that's it. Factors of last, which is 4, over factors of first, which is 1, and always plus or minus. Always plus or minus. All right, so, Malcolm, guess 1. 2? So Malcolm is guessing 2. So let's give it a shot and see if he is a good guesser today. I think you are a magnificent guesser. Good job, Malcolm. 2 works. So one of my roots is 2. Emma, what's left?
It's 1x. Wait, sorry, my iPad's messed up. Okay, it's 1x squared plus 4x plus 2.
Perfect. And in a perfect world, we would factor that, right? But it doesn't factor. So what do we do if we have a quadratic equation that doesn't factor? We use the quadratic formula. We're finding the other 2 roots.
Wait, this one.
Malcolm guessed 1, yes.
So for the first x equals 1, x equals -2 because your little in the box is a positive.
If I were writing a factor, it would be, but I'm not. I'm writing the root.
Oh.
So it's just x equals 2. If I were writing a factor, it definitely would be x minus 2, but this problem doesn't talk about factors, it talks about roots. Okay? All right, so x equals, here we go, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So it looks like 8. And what do I know about the square root of 8? 2 root 2? Oh my gosh, your head's ready to explode. You thought you could not do this ever again. No, 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 no. All this old stuff's coming back. We can cancel a 2 out of all 3 places. So what goes in the answer blank?
2 plus or minus root 2.
Is the original 2 that Malcolm guessed, and then the ones you got from the quadratic. So you have a total of 3 answers, because it's an x cubed equation, so there have to be 3 answers, the one he guessed, and the 2 we got from the formula. We all right?
So we can just keep it at -2 plus or minus.
Yeah. Number 6, factor and sketch.
Grouping.
Yeah. If you don't want to group, can you do your PRR thing?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That will always, always work. It takes a little bit longer, and 20 has a lot of possibilities. But if you want to do that, you can. This one does factor by grouping, so we take out an x squared, and we're left with x plus 5. And then a -4, and we're left with x plus 5 again, which is great news. So we write down the x plus 5. We don't square it or do anything to it. We just write down x plus 5. That's my common factor. And x squared minus 4. So my factors are x plus 5, x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, we've got a lot of those. Are you feeling okay about that?
Is it just a cube?
It's a cube equation. Remember, look at the original problem. It's a cube. It's positive. Nothing's bouncing. So here we go. I got it, -5. I got it, -2. I got it, 2. Coming up from the bottom. How do I know it's coming up from the bottom? It's x cubed. And that's what they do. Nothing fancy, just connect the dots with a nice squiggly line. ready? Here we go. Remember, this is the test. This is what we all want to get a good grade on. We're sketching. Here we go. Let's see. Emma Huff. This first thing I want to do, I'm sketching problem number 7.
You need to grab your x.
I gotta put my x-intercepts on. So I'll have a point at 1, 0, a point at -4, and a point at 3. All right, now Kyle, what do I have to pay attention to? What?
What bounces off?
Well, I gotta pay attention to where it bounces off, but I also have to know what. I gotta get
What direction it
started.
starts.
Exactly, and the only way to know what direction it starts is to look at how many x's I have. 5, so it's gonna start down. So then I gotta pay attention. So now the first one I come to came from this parentheses. So is it gonna bounce? No, it's gonna go through. Now the next one I came to came from this parentheses. It bounces?
Yep.
And the last one came from that parentheses.
Yep.
So it bounces? Done. Just a few more. Then you can escape and go to the next class, which isn't going to be nearly as exciting as this one. Pressure varies inversely as volume. So we're thinking y equals kx or y equals k over x. It's the bottom one, inverse. Pressure varies inversely as volume. If the pressure is 80, the volume is 16. So K equals 16 times 80, which is what? 1280. So my equation is actually P equals 1280 over V, because I know K is 1280. Find the pressure when the volume is 40. Is that 32?
Yeah.
Got it?
Would proportions work for this?
Proportions won't work for inverse variation, they'll work for direct variation. Remember, direct variation, another word is proportional to. All right, here we go. This is a big one. We'll get it done. Here we go. Consider this thing. What are the possible rational roots?
8, 4, 2, 1.
Plus or minus, don't forget that part. 8, 4, 2, and 1 over 1. That's worth points on the test, so don't forget the plus or minus.
X minus 2.
It says find the factors, so you're guessing, there's 3 of them. And you're guessing x minus 2, Olivia? All right, so let's see. I have a feeling she's already done it. Let's see if she's right. She is exactly right. Everybody follow along what she was doing there? She guessed a number, right? You can guess whatever you want. She guessed 2. Maya, what's left here? What's that stand for? So x squared plus 5x plus 4. And Maya, what do I do with that? I factor that. So the other two factors would be x plus 4 plus 1. Right? Now we have to sketch it. It's an x cubed with nothing squared. So this is about the easiest sketch you can have. -4, -1, and 2. Does anyone have a question about the sketch? I started down because it's x cubed.
Should we, do the points, -4, 0, should we mark them?
These points,
With that?
absolutely.
Okay.
Always, those are marked, yes. All right, and this will probably be our last one. Let's get this one done. Change it into vertex form by completing the square. Now, earlier, we found the vertex by doing -b/2a.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not what's happening here. This does not say find the vertex. This says write your equation in vertex form. And remember, vertex form looks like this. That is vertex form.
You divide everything by 3.
So step 1 is we're going to divide everything by 3. Everything by 3.
And subtract 3 over.
And then, like she said, we're going to move this over here to this side. So we're going to subtract the 3 over that 3 right there. Now I'm getting out my red marker because you know what I'm getting ready to do. I'm getting ready to add a number to both sides. And I want it to be a different color so you can see it. What is the number I'm going to add? 4. Why am I adding 4? Because half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. And that's how I find the number. I take half of this and square it. So over here I have y over 3 plus 1. This, kids, gets factored into your square. Always. So what does x squared minus 4x plus 4? If you factored that, what is it? X minus 2. If you FOIL it out, it'd be x minus 2, x minus 2, which is x minus 2 squared. Now we want it to look like this, so we'll subtract the 1, and you can do that in your order now, so I don't want you to be confused. So I'm going to subtract the 1, and then I'm going to times by 3. And when I times by 3, gang, obviously those are going to cancel, but the 3 goes here, and the 3 goes out here. So my answer is y equals 3. X minus 2 squared minus 3. All right. I will see you tomorrow, and we will pick up there. Have a wonderful day.